Hello everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel, the CA Sansar. I am speaking the Stella from the CA Sansar, and today is our topic which we are going to talk about intellectual properties right. And it's our pleasure to welcome CA Sowmya ma'am, and she is a she is a chartered accountant with the 1 year of post qualification experience in financial reporting. So thank you so much, ma'am, to giving us your valuable time and joining us also. And before beginning, I wanted to request to all of you, those are watching us and our followers, to subscribe our YouTube channel and like, share, comment, and do not forget to hit the bell icon to get more information from our side and the latest update. So I would like to invite to you, ma'am, Soumya ma'am, to talk about your topic.
Sure. First of all, thanks. Intellectual property rights with specific preference to e-commerce. What intellectual property rights it's relating to e-commerce? So first, we will break down the importance, break down the meaning of what is a property. So we can better understand what is an intellectual property in that terms. So what is a property in a practical terms? It is something you own. You have rights to use it the way you want. So you can sell it, you can rent it, you can do anything with it only with a legally registered title. So when a legally registered title is there, it becomes our property. So the same principles applies to intellectual property also, right? So what is an intellectual property? When we speak about intellectual, it is mainly relating to ideas and inventions. So that can be legally registered in our own name or in the business name. So we can use it any way we want it, like a physical residential property or physical commercial property. The ideas, inventions, and innovations can also be registered under various laws that is applicable in India and internationally also. So that our own ideas, inventions can also be used. Uh, can also be used to sell. We can rent it. We can get royalty from it. So we can deal with it in the way we want it, and also restrict its usage by the outsiders, unfair usage by the outsiders. Yes. So yes. So as we saw, intellectual property is new ideas, inventions, technologies, artwork, music, literature. It is always inferred that only those assets which have a physicality, which is physically we can see and touch, is valuable. A money value or a numerical considerate value can be attached to it. No, an intangible asset, intellectual property is an intangible asset. It is just as valuable and more valuable than a physical asset. Though it is intangible, though we cannot see and touch it, we can only feel it. It is as valuable as a physical asset. Yes. So basically, for a better understanding, intellectual property is classified as industrial property and other property and related rights. Other property is copyright and related rights. So under industrial property, we have these broad classifications. Patents for invention. So invention, whenever we speak about invention and innovation, it is always through patents. So a company which is manufacturing a soap can may have a better technology and better production method that is known only to them, or that is invented by their in-house team. So they can patent that particular production method and patent in their own business name and commercialize it and use it for better to attain better profitability through that production. So that is patents. And design for artistic creations. So that industrial property designs come broadly under the architectural designs. The design that are spoken here in the industrial property is is largely about the civil and construction related designs are can also be registered. Trademarks are the identity of a business. It can be in any form. It can be a symbol, it can be a name, it can be a picture, it can be a pictorial representation of a business that is very unique to to that particular business. So that can be registered as a trademark. And geographical indications. So as we know, India is a country of diversity, and each state have its own speciality, whether it is relating to the geography, whether it is relating to a particular food or clothing or unique culture a state has, that can also be registered as an intellectual property under geographical indication. For example, our Banaras silk, Kanjipuram silk, uh, there are various categories under silk commodities, right? So that can be registered for the particular state. It can be under the state cooperative society, or even the state government can also register the intellectual property as geographical indications. Trade secrets. So trade secrets is one of the most interesting and I would say interesting and a vulnerable intellectual property, because as with other intellectual properties like patents, designs and trademarks and geographical indications, trade secrets are very much inside a business, which is actually not registered, because the secret has to be kept secret. When it is registered, it will be available in a public domain, but it serves as a complete asset to a particular business. Trade secrets, many trade secrets are registered under different clauses, which discloses only a superficial information about that particular trade secret, but we cannot have full access to full access of information about a trade secret, because it is the only it is a very sensitive information that provides an fair advantage to that particular business. So, if I want to quote an interesting practical case, it is a case of McDonald's always. If you have known that McDonald's French fries is always popular for its taste and for its texture. But in 1990s, McDonald's French fries was a hit. It was even more tasteful, and it was commercially a hit at that time. Everybody was wondering the taste and uniqueness of the McDonald's French fries. But that particular content was kept as an hard secret within the business. One day, what happened? An activist who had suffered an early health issue discovered that uh, McDonald's is using a beef oil for frying the French fries and to give that texture and taste for that fries. So it is beef oil is generally not good for health. So they passed a legal suit on McDonald's, and they were after so many years they were forced to use vegetable oil in preparing their French fries. If everybody vouches that the taste of French fries after that suit and after all these changes have literally gone a drastic change. So this is one example of trade secrets. So how trade secrets, when it is very much kept inside and when it is very open for public access, have an impact, financial impact on the business. So integrated circuits. Integrated circuits is very much with the semiconductor industry, which are producing chips, microchips, which is the base for electronics and electric industry. So the semiconductor industry can uh, patent their topography. Topography is the chip construction design. So they can register that as an intellectual property under industrial property. So, so we have seen the broad classification of industrial property. So then comes the copyright and related rights. Copyright. So the other category of intellectual property is largely into arts. So literary, drama, artistic, musical, writing. authoring, cinematography, so rights relating to performers, broadcasters, and sound recorders. These are intellectual property, the classification of intellectual property and industrial and copyright and related rights. So, why is why IPR is important for sorry, why is IPR important in the context of e-commerce? Where what is the context of speaking intellectual property rights in e-commerce? You will definitely understand in few minutes like why IPR is very important and very sensitive topic in e-commerce. So it is, of course, e-commerce is, as you know, buying and selling of goods through online platforms. Large amount of intellectual property is involved in making e-commerce works because e-commerce is completely dependent on brands, businesses, the brands who own their own IPs, right? So economies today are constantly changing and growing with the help of internet. So it is very critical to recognize the importance of intellectual property rights in the process of conducting e-commerce business. So it is estimated that e-commerce industry was worth 20 billion in 2018, 20 billion euros in 2018, and it is expected to reach to 320 billion euro by 2030. So we should imagine the expansion and diversification of e-commerce business in the coming centuries, coming decades. So e-commerce industry was previously predominantly dominated by Amazon and Flipkart. So after that, giant conglomerates which were very novice to e-commerce business like GeoMart, Tata Digital, and startups like such as Nika, Misho, everybody is having a considerate share and competition in the e-commerce industry. So when we think about the e-commerce, it is not just about the e-commerce platforms that are only online. So there are various application related, app related e-commerce platforms that is also participating in tough competition with the e-commerce chains. What are those? Like Blinkit, Dunzo, everyone. So so what are the intellectual properties that are actually required in an e-commerce business? Yes. So when we discussed about why IPR is important for e-commerce, we have discussed about the large marketplace, the large number of products, commodities, service providers, brands that are involved in e-commerce, the intellectual property they themselves use in the e-commerce website, like music, photographs, design, pictures, the logo of the brands, logo of the products, right? Even the product specs will have almost how the product is made, the important ingredients of the product. All those are components of intellectual property. So this is where the relevance and context of intellectual property in e-commerce comes. So we will, when we see what are the intellectual property rights that are actually available and registered in e-commerce, we will have a better understanding of why this is so important. So the search engines, the Google, Yahoo, Bing, and whatever search engines we are currently using in this current scenario, they are all registered. They are all registered intellectual property rights of that particular organization. It will be very surprised to know that certain organizations have registered even their HTML codes. The HTML codes, as we know, is a code that helps in building a web page, building and running a web page. An organization can register the HTML code in their name so that the look and feel and the operation of the website is completely owned by them. So the overall design, content, graphics, video, as we discussed, photographs used by an e-commerce website, the databases, what Amazon, Flipkart, and all the e-commerce players are having, the financial, business, commercial intelligence, all the databases that we cannot even imagine to create by ourselves. Even we sit and work with it in 100 years. They have a database of information which is very sensitive and which can change the way the world works, right? So that is also registered as an intellectual property right in e-commerce. So and then there comes brand names, product names, logos, domain names is very important intellectual property in e-commerce, and other similar distinguishing signs posted on their websites. So computer generated displays, graphic signals, web pages, graphical user interface. Basically, an e-commerce IPR would be largely with the content, look and feel, usage, the click, and the redirection. All those things can be registered as IPR in e-commerce. So confidential graphics, object and source codes, algorithms, programs, technical descriptions, logic and data flow charts, user manual data structures. Yes. So these are the IPRs that can be registered in e-commerce. So when we talk about the IPRs in e-commerce, I want to move to this interesting IPRs in e-commerce so that we can easily relate as how and exactly this IPRs in e-commerce work. So this, as you see in the screen, this one-click checkout by Amazon, this entire the click and this button, this user interface, this look is registered by Amazon in its own name as its own intellectual property, right? So there is one another interesting patent called single shopping cart, which was developed by a lady in New Zealand, where she has developed a website, she has developed a cart. That cart, you can use that cart to shop from any e-commerce site with a single click. That's all. You don't need to compare the prices. You don't need to just move to that payment gateway. Nothing. So you can use that cart to purchase all the e-commerce website products. And one other important and interesting IPR, which we all have would have missed to recognize it as an IPR, system and method for real-time loan approval. So in recent days and years, we are getting short-term loans or loans with a meager like amount within 1 lakh, which is approved by RBA with by through apps, right? So through single click by providing some mandatory information where no human interaction is happening, an app is approving, processing and approving your loan, right?
You can start, ma'am.
Yeah. So far we have seen that how IPR and what are the intellectual property rights that can register in an e-commerce platform or through an e-commerce platform we have seen so far. So, what is the major threat that we are facing with respect to the protection of IPR? Largely, it will be counterfeit products, fake products and services that are duplicating, that are representing the original brands, uh, which is not easily recognizable through to a common man. So, differentiating the original brand and the fake brand that we are getting through our purchase. So even gray market goods is like uh, the market that is being present. The original products is sold even before the product is launched. For this particularly happens in case of mobile phones, right? So there is a large counterfeit fake products and services that is happening uh, especially with the advent of e-commerce. So we are in the urge of protecting the intellectual property rights of small to big business in whatever size they are. So broadly, these are the legal framework that is operating internationally and also in our country to protect the intellectual property rights relating to e-commerce. It will be trade related intellectual property rights TRIPS agreement that is signed by all the UN organizations to protect the intellectual property rights internationally. So consumer protection e-commerce rules 2020, that is very much by the India, and IP laws in India like Copyrights Act, Patents Act and Trademarks Act, which have a very broad framework of how, why and where and how the intellectual property must be registered and protected. And in case of e-commerce business, Every e-commerce player will have a non-disclosure and confidentiality agreement to be entered by its own sellers before launching their product or service through the e-commerce website. So Amazon is having various protection programs. One of the major protection programs like anti-counterfeiting exchange and brand gating by Amazon, what they do is they assist the retailers, even though they do not have a registered intellectual property in their own name, they assist them in labeling and tracking, labeling their own product to track the marketplace forgeries. So similar protection mechanism is also provided by Snapdeal in the name of Brand Shield and Big Data Anti-Counterfeit Alliance by Alibaba. So Facebook, in the case of Facebook and YouTube, if we take the case of YouTube, if we are uploading a content, it will show a notification or disclaimer that this particular seconds or this particular time of content is violating the copyright. So that is the kind of data intelligence is being implemented in the e-commerce side to avoid violation of intellectual property laws and protect the interest of the consumers and the business as well. So this is how IPR is very much relevant, and the protection of IPR is very important in the context of a lot of practical case laws that needs to be discussed. Uh, we will uh, we will definitely have separate sessions or sessions on different topics on your request. I am very happy and thankful to CS Ansar for providing me this golden opportunity. So whatever questions you have, you can just drop them in the comments, and please subscribe to the CS Ansar channel. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, viewers. Thank you so much, CS Ansar team.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Such a wonderful you explained the your PPT and the topic, and hope those who are watching they understood very well. And also, you giving your valuable time to us and joining us. And thank you so much, C. Somya, ma'am. And we will get to you soon again.